Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I make for Dinnerhe as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. This is a duet as I understand it between Hikaru Utada and Sheena Ringo, titled, the translation is 2 Hours Holiday. Nijikan dake no bakansu, if I understand correctly. I actually understand a little bit of that from the Japanese itself, at least the 2-hour part, you know, slowly getting there. We're going to listen through each of these tracks from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. It'll be cool to hear these two together, actually. I'm kind of intrigued. Apparently also we listened to this in the Christmas fan request marathon we did a while back, like the 6-hour live stream on the channel, but there's a live version of it. Fantastic raise with the drums. I think it's wonderful. There's just nowhere to pause though, is there? There's nowhere to pause in this. The transitions within this composition are so smooth. It's great, it's effective. Very different vocal timbres, but they work. Natural oscillations of the dynamic range. It's gorgeous when the snares come off. See, they got very different vocal styles. It's just the little differences, like how far away your microphone is from your mouth. They can dictate subtle tones and differences in the textures and timbres of the vocal performances and stuff like that. It's clear from watching this live performance that both singers are very, very experienced, and it's really fantastic to listen to in part because of that. I mean, like, clearly it's a very polished vocal performance. I'm going to look through the lyrics in a moment, kindly provided by Dinnerhe, and then we're going to go to the conclusion. There we go. So you can see them on the screen now, the lyrics for 2 Hours Holiday. Dress is sleeping in the back of the closet, high heels waiting for the day they'll be worn. They're all minor characters of the day passing by, so there are experiences we expected to have that we haven't, especially as you're so busy. Let's just take a breather. Great, a 2 hours holiday rendezvous on the beach. If it's not enough, I'll take it if I can just have a little fun. So it's going... I don't want anyone hearing the rest of this fairy tale. So it's about wanting to get away from like the humdrum side of life and allowing yourself to have like a sense of freedom from the kind of trapment of everyday living. Is that it? You're always working yourself hard for your family, but today I sold you for the drive. This is all my fault as I selfishly made you come along. So it's taking away someone who has got commitments, and you're taking them away from that situation because even though it's selfish, you feel like the net outcome will be good, or maybe it is just completely selfish, you know. Look, the car is speeding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Kiss me like you're mesmerized by the mirage in the sands. Oh, cool. Sick. All right, I think I get it. I think I get it. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from Hikaru Utada, featuring Sheena Ringo as well as a featured artist on this for this duet of the track 2 Hours Holiday. Now, what do I think this track is about? I think it's about someone who is wanting to get away from their everyday life. They're, you know, they feel sort of suffocated and trapped in it. They want some excitement, some adventure. They want to live, right? And so they're looking at taking this other person along with them. They know that they've got commitments and responsibilities, but they want to escape with them just for a couple of hours, just to get away from them. It could be figurative. It could be something like to do with like an affair, for example. It could simply be just really like desperate to do something different. It could be a lot of different things, but I kind of dig it. I kind of like it, man. I kind of like the idea of just going on an adventure, you know. I suppose it's taking the innocent route there, but that's cool. Either way, the song is definitely interesting. The story is interesting there, and I liked it. I think it was really, it was kind of romantic in a way, you know. The vocal performances from Hikaru Utada and Sheena Ringo were fantastic. I liked the way that they both sung. They have slightly different, well, they do have quite different voices. You can definitely hear them distinctly in the mix, especially Sheena Ringo, but also Hikaru Utada. I'm starting to notice their sort of distinct timbres and styles within the tracks that I've listened to over the years. And to be honest, I really appreciate it. I think for Sheena Ringo, the propensity with like Tokyo Secrets, was it? Tokyo, like her stuff and the big band and everything, even some of her own sort of like solo stuff can get quite sort of like quite extreme experimental, and there can be some really crazy stuff going on. And I don't necessarily have that same experience with Hikaru Utada. Not that it's disinteresting or uninteresting, but it's more that like we've got two singers who may do different types of music coming together in a way that is improved. It makes a really fantastic listening experience, but also elevates the track. And I have to show respect for Sheena Ringo coming into work alongside Hikaru Utada. I like that. I think it's great that they both were able to sort of pull this off. They had great vocal technique. They're very comfortable in front of the camera and with microphones and stuff like that. They had great head and chest voice. They harmonized neatly. They knew not just to be able to sort of like tell and express themselves with the storytelling, but also like the humming and the having the notes kind of fluctuate over and stuff like that. It was great mic control. It was fantastic. The track itself, we kind of flew by it. Like I was paying attention to a bit of it. There was definitely some stuff going on with the guitars as well as the bass and the strings and the drums. So those would be the four instruments I sort of focus on throughout this bit. I think ultimately you didn't really need more than this. There was not a sort of a linear curve upwards in regards to the intensity or technicality of it. We had fluctuations and oscillations with the perceived loudness and the intensity and layering of different instruments. And I thought that made for a more interesting piece. It started more kind of like, it started more quietly, I think, with the guitars at the beginning, but then you brought the bass and drums in eventually, as well as the strings and then the bass and everything, and it started to come together really well. And both of the singers harmonized neatly on top of it. They had a great sense of presence in the frequency spectrum stereo field, and it was just really well handled and well thought out. I think the guitars there with the single string picked parts there with a bit of reverb in there, kind of wistful and dreamlike, was a beautiful aesthetic there. It did kind of seem sort of gentle and chilled out there. It was like the theme itself over top. I won't go into the theme just yet, but it didn't ever seem to really resolve, like we were constantly looking for a reason to have that adventure. I think that the recordings of the different instruments were great, and including the performance on the guitar there. We continued to match the intensity of the other elements within the mix. We notched ourselves into mid to high range on top of the basses there. And we were a static kind of image that we felt needed to be present, and it was very pretty sounding with the arpeggios and the verse, sort of like any strumming or whatever came in, it was very subtle. There was more of a legato feel to the strings, which I appreciate. They danced really beautifully alongside the guitar harmonies and the progressions and stuff like that. I think that legato-ish passages there were equally dreamlike there. They added a sense of that sort of flair and romanticism to the performance without adding too much drama to it. It was almost maybe sort of nostalgic for a lot of music in like the 70s and 80s, almost like we're being sort of looking back on memories we used to have, like back when we were younger, and the risks and opportunities we used to have, and we're trying to go on that sort of adventure there. It kind of also reminded me of some like foreign films that you see the people in the car going to the beach. Like some French films I've watched have had music similar to that, especially with the strings. So I'm wondering if they were taking influence from that. The drums were fantastic with the chord note grooves and such. We had a bit of flexibility with the cymbal sort of rim and snare and kick patterns there, but ultimately we were there as a supportive element there. We knew when to sort of not be there, we knew when to re-enter, and ultimately it was just very satisfying to have that groove there, that cohesion, rhythmic synergy in the low end there to allow sort of like a platform for the guitars and strings to sort of simmer on. And then we also had the bass to fill in the low end, sort of flesh out the lower part of those harmonies in the frequency spectrum, and it was very well unified. We didn't take a lot of risks with the songwriting there. I don't think we were trying to make really sort of like crazy, wild, different patterns. We weren't trying to make sort of like prog metal or something like that, or anything sort of like close to that. It was very pleasant to listen to. The theme was relaxing and gentle and welcoming and sort of caring, and you got the feeling that even if there's a bit of like even there's a bit of danger involved and a bit of selfishness, can I confessed, it was like meant to be like a better means to an end, if that makes sense. We weren't trying, it wasn't too dark or kind of dreary. We weren't sort of drowning or sort of self-flagellating. It was more of a situation where the music kind of wanted to sort of just admit that we needed a break. And I think the lack of complexity with the extensions in it, the dance-like groove with the drum pads moving forward there, the sort of sense of sort of connection and continuity with the themes, as well as like a lack of, we didn't have too many sort of distinct sort of chord progressions or bass lines or anything like that. It's quite consistent for a lot of it, and I think that allowed us to be more of a sort of a flowing experience rather than a stoppy-starty one, which I think was great. You just wanted to kind of sit down there, vibe to the lyrics, and enjoy it. That's not to say there wasn't variation and stuff like the vocal melodies and harmonies and stuff like that. That was the focal point of the mix, but in regards to the arrangement, the instruments were more of a supporting act in the truest sense of the word. The theme was very pleasant, though, and in terms of the performance, I don't think there was a note out of place. But the studio recording, mixing, and mastering was tight. They both sang really well. Again, had great mic technique there. They knew when to sort of pull back a little bit when they were going to be louder. And I really appreciate the fact that they're mindful of each other during the performance. It would have made it a lot easier to mix. I'm wondering if they had like because I didn't see any other instruments playing, I'm wondering if they had like a backing track that they were singing over or something like that. But I mean, either way, I think the guitars, bass, drums, and strings were fleshed out really nicely in the frequency spectrum, nice and wide in the headphones, as well as in the stereo field. There weren't any weird resonant frequencies in the mids, highs, or lows. There was dynamic range to it. It wasn't the same loudness all the time. Things were not the same loudness, but it was still nice enough without pumping, so the bus compression and limiting was handled. The leveling and the mix was great, and again, you did not need to overprocess those vocals. Sheena Ringo and Hikaru Utada could just sing. I mean, effectively, this is my review of this track from an act named Hikaru Utada, featuring Sheena Ringo in this duet, titled 2 Hours Holiday, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias, and I assume this will be on YouTube and digital streaming platforms. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as the hell more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SC Patrons video. Spiderhands out.